All right, so get ready, because today we're going deep.
Deep into
A book
it.
that'll seriously make you rethink, well,
Rethink what?
everything.
Yeah.
I mean it, like everything you thought you knew about knowledge, reality,
Reality.
and even
Yeah.
your own DNA.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, it is, right? We're diving into Jeremy Narby's The Cosmic Serpent.
DNA and the Origins of Knowledge. Don't forget that subtitle.
Right, good point. DNA and the Origins of Knowledge, which
It's a wild ride, this book.
it is, totally.
yeah.
Anthropology.
Shamanism, molecular biology, all mixed up together.
Yeah, like how does that even work, right?
That's the cool part, right? Narby starts as this total skeptic.
A real scientist.
Oh, yeah, steeped in Western thought and all that. Even admits to being influenced by Carlos Castaneda early on.
Oh, wow.
Which, later got discredited, right? So, picture this guy.
Okay, I'm picturing him.
This scientist heading into the Amazon
The Amazon, wow.
to study the Ashaninka people. Their practical knowledge of the ecosystem, he's all about the hard facts.
No woo-woo stuff.
Nope, not at first.
But then he gets this, like, total curveball.
What kind of curveball?
Ruperto, this Ashaninka man, invites him to try ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, that's where things get interesting.
That's an understatement.
Ruperto compares shamanism to something like accounting.
Accounting, really?
Yeah. He's pointing out how the West views these powerful medicines as like...
A cult or something.
Exactly. Like it's all spooky and mysterious.
Right, right.
Narby, totally a product of the West, jumps right in.
He takes the ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah, he dives in headfirst. And this isn't some casual thing,
Like in someone's backyard or whatever.
No way. Narby's talking about intense visions.
Intense how?
Giant boa constrictors.
Whoa.
Feeling totally lost, terrified even. And then, get this, an out-of-body experience.
No way.
Flying thousands of feet above Earth.
You're kidding.
Seeing a completely white planet.
I can't even.
Try processing that. It's like...
Yeah, how do you even begin to understand that?
Exactly. Your whole reality gets flipped,
Did he try to make sense of it all?
He did, yeah, but putting it into words...
Must have been tough.
It was. He struggled. The visuals, the emotion, so vivid, but language felt...
Limited.
Yeah, totally inadequate, like it couldn't capture the depth.
Wow, so that struggle to translate the experience.
That's key to his whole journey.
How so?
It starts to chip away at his scientific certainty, makes him consider...
Other ways of knowing.
Exactly. Not just the Western way.
Okay, so we've got this scientist, mind blown by ayahuasca.
Yeah, picture him surrounded by the Ashaninka.
Who are totally comfortable attributing their knowledge to these plant-induced hallucinations, right?
Right. It's like the heart of the book's mystery unfolds there.
Totally. And then there's how ayahuasca's made?
Oh, yeah, that just adds to the mystery.
How so?
There's this enzyme inhibitor in it, should scientifically make the active ingredient. Yeah. Like a recipe that shouldn't work, but it does.
What are you doing?
Even Richard Evans Schultes, a huge ethnobotanist.
Yeah, I know him. Really respected.
Was baffled by it.
That's saying something.
It is, right.
So it's like Western science can't explain it.
Yeah, it's a puzzle.
But before we even try to solve it,
Before we do.
maybe we need to look at how anthropology has handled shamanism.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other thing.
It's had a rocky history, hasn't it?
It has. In the early days, folks like Bronislaw Malinowski,
The father of modern anthropology.
that's him. All about objective analysis, dismiss shamanism as,
Mental illness.
yeah, chaotic, irrational, all that.
But then things started changing.
Around the 1930s, yeah.
So they finally took it seriously.
Well, kinda. Thinkers like Claude Lévi-Strauss.
Oh, I've heard of him.
He argued that shamanism wasn't random chaos, but a different
A different what?
system of order, a way to understand the world with its own logic.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then there's Mircea Eliade.
Scholar of religion, right?
Yeah, exactly. He built on that idea, saw shamanism as...
Technique for ecstasy.
Yeah, and argued it had universal elements across cultures.
So a more nuanced view of shamanism emerges.
It does, but it's hard to imagine these early anthropologists...
Really getting it.
Yeah, like really grasping the depths of it.
Right, and it's against this backdrop that Narby comes across, this statement.
From the Ashaninka, right?
Yeah, they say, the mother tobacco is a snake. Now you're going to tell me that's not just some random folklore, right?
Oh, it's anything but random. Think about it visually. That statement almost describes...
Describes what?
The structure of DNA.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying the Ashaninka, with no microscopes or anything...
No fancy tools.
...knew about DNA centuries before science? How?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is. And this snake imagery.
It's not just the Ashaninka, it pops up everywhere.
Like where?
Creation myths, symbols of the vital principle across cultures.
And Narby's ayahuasca vision.
Giant snakes.
Too many coincidences.
Right. There's got to be a connection here.
Between these shamanic experiences and knowledge of DNA.
Definitely feels like we're onto something.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's a question that really sticks with Narby and leads him to some really interesting places.
Like where?
Well, the thing about the idea of defocalizing really struck me.
Defocalizing.
It's this technique that shamans use
They
to like...
shift their perception.
Exactly, like changing the focus on a camera lens.
Okay, I can see that.
So imagine, the double helix of DNA.
Yeah.
You're looking at it from far away.
You could blur it, right?
Totally a mess. To see it clearly, you got to defocalize, change your view.
Interesting.
So are these shamans through ayahuasca and all that?
Are they like defocalizing to see things on a tiny level?
Kind of like they've got built-in microscopes.
Wow, that's a wild thought.
It is. And it gets even, well, when you think about serotonin.
In our brains, right?
Yeah, and how it's similar to the stuff in ayahuasca.
The hallucinogenic substances.
Yeah, they work on similar receptors. Maybe that's how.
Well, these plants change our consciousness so much.
Could be, yeah. Like unlocking a hidden door in the brain.
So are you saying we could tap into information that's normally hidden?
It's possible. Narby definitely explores that.
Okay, I'm following. But how does this relate to DNA being the source of knowledge?
Well, think about it. DNA, it's the blueprint for life, right?
Yeah.
What if it's also a source of consciousness?
Ooh.
Like a universal library we can access under certain conditions.
Okay, now we're getting really out there.
Right. And speaking of out there, what about those biophotons we talked about?
Those tiny lights from cells, how do they fit in?
This is where it gets really cool. Fritz Albert Popp's research shows that all living cells, they give off these biophotons.
Okay.
And you know what amplifies and transmits light?
What?
Quartz crystals. And guess what's a big part of shamanic practices?
No way. Quartz crystals? Are you serious?
Totally.
Yeah.
Could there be a link between these crystals, the light from our cells?
And being able to see spirits.
It's a wild thought, right? But think about how spirits are often described.
Like beings of pure light.
Exactly. Energy. Maybe they're perceived through these biophoton interactions.
Whoa, that would bridge the spiritual and scientific, like totally blow your mind.
It would, right.
I need a minute to process all of this. It's challenging everything I thought I knew.
And that's the great thing about Narby's work. It makes you question everything.
Especially the stuff we take for granted from science.
Like, can we really explain life, consciousness, just through biology and chemistry?
I mean, Crick, the DNA guy, even proposed directed panspermia, right?
Yeah, the idea that life on Earth came from microorganisms from another planet.
That just pushes the question back further, doesn't it?
Exactly. Where did those microorganisms come from then? And natural selection.
It explains a lot, but it doesn't explain everything.
Right, like the sudden appearance and disappearance of species in the fossil record.
What about master genes, the ones that control other genes?
That suggests a higher level of organization, intention, beyond random mutation.
So we're left with a lot of unanswered questions.
We are, but what's interesting is when Narby went back to the Amazon...
With his findings.
Yeah, and shared them with the Ashaninka, they weren't surprised at all.
Really?
It was like they were saying, we told you so. It's about time you figured it out.
That's pretty amazing.
It is, right? Western science isn't the only path to knowledge.
Indigenous cultures, they might hold insights we've missed.
Because of our biases, our limited ways of seeing things.
Exactly. And that brings us to you, the listener. Have you ever experienced something?
Something that shook your understanding of reality.
Made you question everything you thought you knew.
Because this isn't just some theoretical debate.
It's about how we see ourselves, our place in the universe, our connection to the planet.
What if we're not just individuals, but all interconnected, part of something bigger?
What if the knowledge we're looking for is already inside us?
Waiting to be unlocked, that's a pretty big idea to think about.
And this deep dive into the cosmic serpent is just the start of that exploration.
Yeah, it really makes you think, what if we could actually bridge that gap?
Between science and indigenous wisdom.
Exactly. Like, imagine what we could learn.
It's crazy how we often label indigenous cultures as primitive, right?
Yeah, because their technology isn't as fancy as ours.
But what if they're actually more advanced in a way?
In terms of consciousness, their connection to nature, you mean?
Yeah, what if we've got it all backwards?
That's a wild thought. Makes you rethink what progress really means.
Doesn't it? Like, what if true progress isn't about dominating nature?
But understanding our place within it.
Expanding our consciousness to see how everything's connected.
It's like we've been so focused on looking outward
Trying to control the external world.
that we've forgotten about the inner
The
world.
potential inside our own minds.
And maybe it's through exploring that inner world
Through things like shamanism,
that we can tap into a deeper knowledge.
a connection to the source of life itself.
Like Narby says, shamans are experts in the art of consciously modifying their perception of reality.
It's not just about observing the world passively.
They're actively engaging with it, shaping their reality through their intentions and practices.
Which brings us back to the book's title, The Cosmic Serpent.
Such a powerful image.
Right, this ancient symbol that connects the earthly and the cosmic.
The small and the large, all of it.
And it's not just a random symbol, is it?
Not at all. The serpent represents transformation, renewal.
Like shedding its skin, always evolving.
And in many cultures, it's associated with healing, wisdom.
The vital force that animates everything.
It's a symbol that goes beyond cultures, speaks to something deep inside us.
And it connects back to this idea of DNA as a language.
A code that holds the secrets of life.
And shamans, through their rituals and altered states,
They seem to be tapping into that language.
decoding the messages hidden within our very cells.
It's like they're reading the blueprints of creation.
And the amazing thing is, modern science is starting to catch up.
With discoveries like biophotons, quantum entanglement,
We're seeing that the universe is more mysterious than we thought.
way more interconnected.
So maybe Narby wasn't so crazy after all.
Maybe he was just ahead of his time.
A visionary who dared to challenge the status quo.
And explore the uncharted territories of consciousness.
That's what makes The Cosmic Serpent such a powerful book.
It doesn't give you all the answers.
But it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Makes you question your assumptions.
Embrace the mystery of existence.
Consider the possibility that the most profound knowledge.
Might be right beyond what we can understand with our rational minds.
It's a book that sticks with you, that's for sure.
If you're curious about consciousness, shamanism, the interconnectedness of everything,
Definitely dive into The Cosmic Serpent.
you won't regret it.
You might even start seeing the world in a whole new way.
Because who knows? Maybe the secrets of the universe are inside us all.
Just waiting to be unlocked.
That's a pretty awesome thought to wrap things up, don't you think?